Are you tired of the cookie-cutter approach to education that's stuck in the last century? Are you seeking a win-win situation where your family thrives, your kid's education is revolutionary, and you still get to chase your own dreams? Welcome to Unschooled Unleashed. Unlock your child's genius. I'm your host, Matthew Jurecki, an unapologetic rebel dad and promoter of what many consider to be educational anarchy. You know the world isn't going to be won by those that just toe the line. It's the innovators, the visionaries, and the resilient spirits that are going to thrive. Our mission here is to forge those world changers within our very homes with less stress, energy, and time. Unschooled Unleashed starts now. Welcome back to Unschooled Unleashed. I'm your host, Matthew Jurecki, and today we got a fantastic episode. We're going to dive into the entrepreneurial mindset and how unschooling can best prepare future generations for the future of work. So with that, let's dive in. Welcome back. We got a great episode for you. Today, we're going to dig deep into why I believe an entrepreneurial mindset is more critical than ever, especially in an artificial intelligence and gig economy world. And when I say gig economy, I'm referring to like 1099 contractors or people who are doing freelance work on Fiverr and similar sites. And from here on out, I'm going to refer to artificial intelligence as just AI to keep it simple. But I want to give a quick rundown of where I see things going. Let's talk about the importance of future work first. In a rapidly evolving world where technological advancements and AI are reshaping industries and the job market, skills like adaptability, self-learning, and intrinsic motivation have become indispensable. I want to say that again. Skills like adaptability, self-learning, and intrinsic motivation have become indispensable. The era of when a single skill set could last a lifetime is gone. Today's workforce must be agile, willing to pivot and adapt to emerging technologies and new methodologies. Self-learning is no longer a luxury, but a necessity, as the pace at which new information and skills are needed far exceeds what traditional educational settings can provide. Moreover, as repetitive tasks are increasingly automated, human workers need to bring something uniquely human to the table. Creative thinking, problem solving, and the kind of intrinsic motivation that fuels lifelong learning and innovation. These qualities not only make individuals more resilient in the face of change, but also equip them to take advantage of new opportunities, create value in unforeseen ways, and ultimately secure their place in the future. That's the importance of future work and where I see it going. Now, what about the entrepreneurial mindset and unschooling relating to this in the future, relating to the future of work? An entrepreneurial mindset is the catalyst that not only cultivates but also synergizes skills like adaptability, self-learning, and intrinsic motivation, equipping individuals for a future that's anything but static. This mindset fosters a natural curiosity and a passion for problem-solving, key drivers for self-learning and adaptability, and encourages risk-taking and resilience, qualities that are essential for navigating the volatile, uncertain landscape of tomorrow's job market. Moreover, the entrepreneurial mindset is inherently geared towards innovation and value creation, traits increasingly important as automated systems take over routine tasks. Unlike traditional education, which aims to prepare students for existing roles, an entrepreneurial mindset prepares them for roles that have yet to be created and for industries that are evolving or don't yet exist. This approach cultivates a proactive attitude towards change, making it not something to fear, but an opportunity to seize, thus ensuring long-term success in an ever-changing world. All right, so I'm done reading. I wrote those to really make sure that I'm clear in exactly where I'm going. Now, personally, intrinsic motivation has been one of my most useful attributes. Now, personally, I have been intrinsically motivated, and it's been life-changing for me. It's led me down paths that have challenged me, which leads to growth. And a lot of growth has happened when I was freed from the chains of schooling, really when I was an adult. I did do unschooling in 8th grade, but it was just 1 year. So I really felt the chains lifted more so as an adult. And The goal is to allow the growth to happen with the lesson when the lesson presents itself. So lessons happen as early as appropriate, and combine that with unschooling, and the possibilities are endless. And I think that's the future. I think it's a huge gift for our kids. But before we go any further, let's really define out what the entrepreneurial mindset is. We've kind of talked a little bit around it. So the definition is an entrepreneurial mindset is a set of attitudes and behaviors characterized by risk-taking, problem-solving, and adaptability aimed at identifying and seizing opportunities. Now, I think the importance of this mindset is that the mindset of innovation and adaptability is vital for the future employment or the future of work in an AI-driven industries. I think it fosters not only self-resilience, but just resilience in general, and lifelong love for learning. What does that sound like? Sounds like unschooling, doesn't it? I think there's a lot of similarities within there. The consequences of not learning this entrepreneurial mindset is that, well, the risk is becoming obsolete in the job market, in the future of work, because you're honestly less adaptable. In the market values adaptability. If you struggle with constant change and innovation, you're going to struggle in the future. And that's a lot of people. And that's why I think it's so critical that we do foster this entrepreneurial mindset in the best way we can figure out how. Now, the shortcomings of traditional schooling, because we certainly look up into the future and see this, the future of work crisis, and we look at our school system and how it sets it up. The curriculum's rigid, not encouraging adaptability whatsoever. So they're not even building the skills for the future that, and these are meta skills that they're going to need. There's a minimal focus on tech savvy and future-proof skills. They're always lagging behind. There's an overemphasis on memorization that I think stifles creativity and adaptability. So I personally don't think that schools are doing what they need to be doing to prepare students as we look off into the future of work. Now, my personal example is I always took the entrepreneurial mindset even when I was an employee. I remember when I was 33 years old, I decided to take a salaried position as an educator, and I, air quotes, started my own business within that company. And this led to great success. I had that entrepreneurial mindset, and I really made sure I was the driving force behind a lot of what I did. Of course, they had their own objectives, and I had to do that. And anything else that I wanted to do, my intrinsic motivation, whatever was pushing me, wherever it was pushing me, I showed up, and that was beyond the 40 hours a week. Unfortunately, that was not sustainable. Working 60, 70, sometimes 80 and more hours a week. But I can certainly tell you growing that mindset has paid dividends to date. Now that we've defined out what the entrepreneurial mindset is, the importance of it, consequences of not learning, let's talk about what the mindset encourages. And I think that the entrepreneurial mindset encourages risk-taking. And I know a lot of people cringe when I'm saying risk-taking, especially when we're talking about our children, but we learn from our mistakes, and we have to go out on a limb to learn. And I think the entrepreneurial mindset is the way of the future. We have to prepare them for that, so we're going to have to do it in a safe environment. I think it fosters the type of boldness needed to innovate in AI-centric fields, AI centric jobs. And if you don't understand this yet, AI is coming for everything. It's going to be everywhere. It's already starting to become everywhere as I'm recording this. And there's no signs whatsoever that this is going to slow down. This is like the industrial revolution times the internet, as far as I can see it. It would have to take something pretty big to steer the ship the other way. So I think the consequences of not learning, risk-taking, which is inherent within the entrepreneurial mindset, is that you will be left behind. It's scary to learn something new or dive into a new field that hasn't been proven yet. This is the future of work, and we kind of got to adapt to that. Also, it can result in missed opportunities and more. but that's always been like that. Now, the shortcomings of traditional schooling as far as risk-taking is concerned is that school encourages following set paths, which inhibits adaptability. They're going to tell you what to do, you just show up and do it. You really don't have much risk outside that. Standardized testing doesn't reward risk-taking or creative solutions. Failure is stigmatized and not seen as a learning opportunity. So there's a lot of negatives to school as far as that's concerned. Now, I'm in my 40s and out on my entrepreneurial journey, and I have a family now. We need an income. I don't regret my path, working as an employer, or as an employee, I should say. But I wish I would have learned the lessons that I'm learning now at a very young age, and I can do that for my kids. I want to do it. I wish I would have had it when I didn't have all the responsibility, and the risk is so big, like catastrophic risk, where if I fail, I take my entire family out. And I would love to be able to teach my children how to get those lessons very early, because risk increases generally with age, and taking risks early means they learn how to mitigate those risks early. I think that's a huge benefit that I want to incorporate into my kids' education, if they're willing. Next, the entrepreneurial mindset has the ability to cultivate a passion for innovation. And I think that's one of the things in the future is uniquely human. It inspires innovation and problem solving. Now, the importance of innovation is that innovation is key in creating new opportunities, especially in an AI-dominated job market. And it encourages interdisciplinary approaches to problem, just connecting dots between things that don't seem to be connected. Now, the consequences of not learning to be creative, problem solving, innovate, is becoming stagnant in your career, and that your career will be obsolete. And you might have difficulty adapting to new technological changes. And we know that it's going to be changing more rapidly than ever. If you want to look up Moore's Law, this is what they use to predict how fast things will be changing in the future, and based off the history of what it's changed in the past. Now, traditional schooling has a lot of shortcomings in this area. It's not very good at cultivating a passion for innovation because it has such a rigid curriculum that it doesn't allow for any kind of creativity. It doesn't allow for any kind of outside the box thinking because we're all kind of conforming. Lacks teaching any methodologies that encourage innovation as well, or critical thinking. Now, in my life, I use AI as a tool, and it helps me solve problems. And the more creative I am with it, the more I am able to innovate, which is pretty interesting. And I think that having a passion for innovation, creativity, is going to allow people to use this tool better and more efficiently. And that's a huge edge, probably one of the biggest edges we've ever seen since the Industrial Revolution, at least. So I think that creating this passion for innovation is going to be essential for the future of work. Next, I want to talk about building self-reliance and financial literacy. This is part of the entrepreneurial mindset. And we need to make sure that we children, us as well, we're all financially literate. The importance of it is it's essential for personal freedom and future entrepreneurial endeavors. It could destroy a lot of things. You get your finances out of whack, it can strain your marriage, it can strain your relationship with your kids. You can never hang out with your friends because you're always having to go to work to pay back the debt that you racked up. It could strain your career because instead of focusing on what your talents are and how you can give back to the world, you're focusing on what gives you the biggest paycheck. Nothing wrong with getting a big paycheck. Just focusing on the paycheck alone, I think, has a lot of shortcomings. I think you're more vulnerable to an economic downturn as well and any kind of job market changes, and you really don't have the space to be able to adapt. School, what do you think? Do you think schools prepare people for this? You can have your own opinion. I certainly know that I have not seen much at all in schools to prepare people financially to be financially literate or even being self-reliant, because that's part of being self-reliant. It completely overlooks financial literacy as far as I'm concerned in real world money management. And there's people trying to do some great stuff with that, but as a general rule, that's not happening. It focuses too much on academic tests while neglecting practical life skills in general, not just financial literacy, but in the entrepreneurial mindset, that's one big, big, big hole. In my personal life, I've recognized that if I didn't get my financial act together, then I really wouldn't have much of a life at all, and I'd have to make much different decisions. So at a very young age, or like adulthood, young age, I was in my early to mid-20s, I decided to get my head wrapped around this stuff, and I think it's definitely paid off. I thought about the future, and I said, what does Matt of the future say to Matt of 22 years old? And he said, get your financial act together, because you're going to pay for this eventually. So I did. And it wasn't because of schools or anything else. It was just me trying to make sure that I am able to do what I needed to do in life. That means I need to be self-reliant, and that means I needed financial literacy. Next, aligning the entrepreneurial mindset with ethics and morality. I think this is important in the future as well, especially with AI and all that fun stuff, because you can really cause a lot of damage, but you can also cause a lot of good. I'm a Christian myself, so I align it with my Christian values. And I think there's a very important thing about aligning your values with what you do, your work. Values serve as a grounding force for the entrepreneurial undertaking. You can really get a satisfaction of creating something or doing something good for the world that was not being done before. Without you, those people would not be helped. And I think that's really something cool that is unique to entrepreneurship. Ethical entrepreneurship is sustainable in the long run. And not that entrepreneurship itself is not ethical, it's just the emphasis of placing ethics on it and doing fantastic business, treating other people how you want to be treated, helping the world, creating something new, creating something different that helps people. I think is honestly, I don't even know if it's worth it without doing that. Personally, the consequences of not aligning your values is you're not going to feel too great about it. You're going to compromise your ethical and moral standards for what? For a paycheck? You're going to get a paycheck either way. Yeah, you might get a little bit more in the short term, but you're not going to get it in the long term. At least not in the United States. That's not the way it works. You do good business, people come back as a general rule. It could result in ventures that are not fulfilling at all. And I already mentioned it not being very sustainable if you don't have some ethics along with it, along with your entrepreneurship. Traditional schools, do they teach any of this? I really think they have their own ethos in a sense, but no one can agree necessarily what that is. It doesn't adequately integrate a moral or ethical discussions into any kind of curriculum, let alone focus on any kind of entrepreneurial vision for any of the kids, for the most part, as a standard rule. It focuses on competition over community and collaboration, all that fun stuff. I know that entrepreneurship for me has been about relationships, and I think that even if someone is not a right fit for me in my business, that I want to help them find the right fit somewhere else, because that's what I do. I only want to work with people who are a right fit. I want that freedom, right fit. I want the freedom of association to be able to say yes and no, and I want to give them the dignity of being able to do the same and directing, and I can help them find someone who's a better fit. I just think that's good business, and that's part of my ethos within my business. Anyways, in conclusion, some final thoughts. Integrating an entrepreneurial mindset with your values equips children for a fulfilling, ethical, and adaptable future. Again, the future workforce is changing. It will change. We don't even know what it'll look like necessarily. We can guess. Build up, help your children cultivate not just skills, but like meta skills, things that transfer to anything, like self-reliance, adaptability, being able to teach yourself, creativity, these things will transfer to anything that's out there. And if they're intrinsically motivated, just watch out. That's really what America was built on. And America has been very successful in that. And I think the values of American business have really paid off in the long term. Of course, there's plenty of examples of people doing a lot of messed up stuff, but with freedom comes responsibility. I hope that I've connected enough dots between an entrepreneurial mindset, the future of work, and how we can incorporate that into our children's education, in maybe even our education, as we continue to learn. I personally believe that unschooling, or as many unschooling principles as you can adopt, will prepare the child for that journey more. And I think it's our responsibility as parents to guide our children in that way. Again, I call it intentional parenting, where we're going to back off, let them choose the direction, but then we're going to give them a ton of support along the way. We might even say, hey, look at these skills that would be helpful for where you have decided you want to go, and emphasizing the importance of it. When they want to dive into something, they can, you just give them support to be able to do what they want to do. And I think it's just very important. So with that, I think we'll close up this episode. So stay curious, stay unschooled, and stay away from the algebra nightmares. Catch you in the next episode. So here's where we roll up our sleeves and bring out the big guns. If you support our mission, then please leave a review. On Unschooled Unleashed, we are talking about using a radical approach to education in today's world, and the more 5-star reviews we have, the more people will feel comfortable with the ideas, strategies, and principles we discuss. It gives legitimacy to our message, and the podcast's algorithm prioritizes us so we can reach more people. You may even have your 5-star review read on our podcast. Before I let you go, I have to pause and say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Your presence here is the fuel that ignites this movement. I am incredibly moved that you trust in us enough to click play. You, my friends, are the caped heroes in this story, the guardians of your family's learning journey, and a beacon of hope for your community. Be bold. Do what you think is best for you and your family. Thanks again for tuning in and taking this courageous leap outside of the box for this educational revolution. Welcome to the front line.